You are now unmuted.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 11 of Engineering Conclave 2025, hosted by SCETW ACMW Student Chapter. I'm Ishrat Tabassum, your host for the day. Today, we have two inspiring sessions lined up, focusing on evolving role of engineers, both in professional life and in the society at large. Our first session, Work-Life Balance, Work from Home to Office, by Dr. Janitha Kularajasingam. Our speaker is a senior lecturer and HRDC certified trainer at Taylor's University, Malaysia, with over 11 years of teaching experience. She holds a PhD and MBA along with professional certifications from Microsoft and SAP, enabling her to deliver impactful teaching and research in the field of management. She has been recognized as a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert for 4 consecutive years, showcasing her commitment to use technology to enhance teaching and learning outcomes. Beyond the classroom, she contributes as a reviewer for the Human Ethics Application Review process at Taylor's University and serves as a professional technologist for ICT. Her extensive involvement in industry advisory panels, conferences, and journal reviewing reflects her dedication to bridging academia and industry. She is passionate about fostering positive learning environments and continues to champion academic excellence and leadership in her field. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Janita for her session on work life balance. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much,
You are now
Ishrat.
muted.
Thank you for the warm introduction. So, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible to each and one of you. All right, so we shall begin the session a little bit on the idea about what exactly is work life balance. Okay, so this is where I want you to do a little bit of reflection. What exactly is work life balance? Work from home to office. So let's take a look at what has happened in the past few years. Firstly, as everybody's aware, we all went through COVID. Okay, COVID was a situation where it taught us a lot of things. It taught us a lot about how to work from home more as compared to being in the office because of the pandemic, because of the lockdown, the restrictions that we had. So let's do a little bit of reflection to understand that, during COVID, what has happened? And today we are looking at something called as post-COVID. So post-COVID is something where we foresee organizations moving forward in 2025, 2026, and as the years progress. How are they looking at the idea of work from home to office? So this is where I'm going to start off a little bit about my profile, which Ishrat has already introduced myself earlier. But let's take a look at transitioning. So I know I mentioned earlier a little bit about COVID, post-COVID, and what has happened even before COVID. But work-life balance, what does it mean to each and one of you today? All right. So this is where you need to ensure that there's a balance between working professionally and also there's a balance at home. But at the very same time, are we able to work from home? So today we all have this terminology or abbreviation that says WFH, which is work from home. So how is it like where from home to office working life is today? So there are a lot of organizations today where they have this flexibility when it comes to working from home. So for example, I'm going to give you where Microsoft, even certain higher education institutions or even universities today where they're actually focused on the idea of working from home as well as working from office. So there are days where out of the 5 days in a week when we work, 2 days we're actually working from home and the balance 3 days we're working from office. So this gives in a lot of work-life balance. So let's take a look at how the work is known as remote working, or better known as working remotely. So today you can see that as you're traveling around the world, even for a business trip, you are able to work or even pick up a Microsoft Teams meeting at the airport. Yeah, just before taking your flight to the next destination. So this can be done because of the idea where professionals today are looking at well-being. As I'm explaining a little bit, I also want you to do a little bit of reflection. So today, what do you see is what we need. How many of you like to work from home? And how many of you actually like to work from office? Okay, so how disciplined are we when it comes to working from home? All right, and how disciplined are we when it comes to working from office? So from the picture, you can see that basically she's trying to meditate in a very different manner. So this is a very good example of work-life balance. So as I'm explaining to you a little bit about the benefits, yeah. So I'm sure some of you are really, really excited to understand that what are the benefits of working from home? So we have this flexible scheduling. This flexibility brings in, especially during a peak hour. So you have your deadline, you have your timelines, but you're still very productive. The end of the day, you still need to meet your KPIs, your key performance indicators along the way. But the flexibility when it comes to scheduling is very much aligned to your own personal schedule. And besides that, when you're working from home, how productive are we? So that's also another question to ask ourselves where, because of the personalized workspace that we have, we bring in a lot of comfort. Okay, so some of us are very, very comfortable with the environment we are in. All right, day in, day out, we are comfortable. We are able to relate to the environment. We are able to absorb the vibes as well. So, this is where the personalized workspace comes in. But saying that, one of the most important benefits is traveling time. We save a lot of time on the road. Even in India there's a lot of jam, Bangalore there's a lot of jam, even in Malaysia there's a lot of jam, even in Jakarta, Indonesia, the jam is bad. That's why we have a lot of e-hailing services and all that. But let's get back to the idea of how do we reduce stress. So traveling on the road from one end to another, for example, if you're in Bangalore, traveling from one end to another can go up to 2 hours, especially during a peak time. So we save a lot of time, we reduce our stress, we tend to spend more time with family, we get more united with family. On top of that, we're able to catch up with a little bit of rest in between, micro breaks. At the same time, we are able to pursue further with our hobbies, which is very, very important. And as I'm speaking about the benefits, think about what has happened over the past few years, especially in 2025, when we talk about fully remote, hybrid home plus office at the same time as fully in office. So this is where we need to understand how many percentage of employees are actually fully working remotely. And what about those who have a combination, which is known as a hybrid working model, home plus office? All right. But at the end of the day, how many of us actually work fully in the office? So from this information, you can understand that what are the preferences when it comes to employees. Okay. And as we are looking at these statistics, I want you to also do a little bit of reflection. All right. What are the home, or I would say, what is it like challenges that you face when you're working from home? All right. So there are a lot of things that comes into your mind at this very moment. But one of it is where you might have a challenge to actually split your working hours with your personal time. Are you able to ensure that you're able to set the boundaries? So this is very, very crucial. But saying that, think about the isolation. Okay, so working from home, the only time you interact or even collaborate with your colleagues, for example, is through Microsoft Teams or even Zoom or through Google Meet, or yes, thanks to WhatsApp, we have WhatsApp and etc. But there's a lot of challenges that comes in, which is known as isolation. And besides that, the risk. This risk is how much or to what extent are we able to put a stop to our working hours. Sometimes when you work from home, you work more hours as compared to working in the office or even the university. All right, I'm sure it rings a bell to all of you as well. Okay, are we able to switch off? That switching off mode is very, very crucial. All right, so this challenge is definitely a major challenge because how many of us are able to switch off without physical separation? All right, so there's an example that I've given you where I believe that Kevin Liu, who's a vice president, he himself appreciates the energy of in person meetings and he has built a lifestyle around remote work and found commuting disruptive. So, a vice president has reached to this level and he's able to appreciate things along the way. So, this says a lot about how management understands about some of the challenges that we face, okay, whether we work from home or work from office and etc. Excuse me. And then of course, after the pandemic, we all had to go back to the office. All right. 2, 3 months, 4 months, some of us were actually working from home. So how was the balance that we managed to build from that period of time till date? So I want you to do a little bit of reflection here as well. All right. I'm sure some of you faced all these challenges. Well, I agree. Loss of flexibility was there. We had to get back into the routine of fixed hours and being in the office setup, the structured environment. All right. And then, of course, the energy, the time we're spending on traveling, getting stuck in the jam with the stress and getting tired very easily. And along the way, the reintegration stress. How are we able to adapt to the office culture again? So imagine working from home because of the pandemic, 3 to 6 months, and then you're back to the office to get back into that mode, that working mode, that office culture, and having your expectations. All right. So these are some of the challenges that, I'm sure you can relate to it. You have experienced it or you're still experiencing it. Yeah. And as we are talking about that or we're looking at that part, I also want you to see that ask yourself this question: how to finish more work in 4 hours? So imagine you've given 4 hours to finish all your work or more work. So this is where 92% of people take about 3 days in an average. All right. This is just an estimation. So think about it. How are you able to turn off? The turning off after work and making sure that you have your me time is very important. So today you notice that the government of India, government of Malaysia, it's an international where WHO, World Health Organization, has come up with this statement where we need to exercise. Exercising is crucial. So the me time can always be converted to a session of exercising, taking a nice walk around the park where you live, and then connecting with the nature or doing a yoga. Yoga helps. Meditating, your pranayama techniques, the breathing techniques really, really helps. So all this me time actually helps to reduce the stress as well. And as we're looking at that, think about some of the tips of better working life balance. So how effective are you when it comes to time management? So sometimes 24 hours is never enough. I don't know about you guys, but 24 hours is never enough for me. So effective time management. Yeah, we always have things based on our schedule. We plan things, but how effective are we? And then, of course, today we have got the idea of Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, all these online platforms that allows us to make working fun to a certain extent with the virtual meeting. Instead of traveling to the destination, to your office, or meeting your clients, spending so much time, energy, and also the effort as well. And besides that, think about your workload planning. So today, your workload planning comes in a form where you can actually work with your co-workers or your colleagues. You guys can actually rotate your schedule accordingly. So 2 days working from home, 3 days working in the office, and vice versa. Because this hybrid business model has already been in place. And besides that, how are you able to work smartly? So today we have a lot of platforms, a lot of softwares that guides us on how to work smartly. And thanks to the automation, thanks to technology, things are a lot more faster and easier to be done. Not forgetting that AI is also there today. So AI is there to complement human beings. So with artificial intelligence, things are getting better as well. And stakeholders management. Think about it. Think about your stakeholders. All right. The productivity as well. Besides that, working culture is very much flexible, like what I explained earlier in the slides. And of course, we need to be able to set the boundary. Never mix your professional life with a personal life because it has to have a balance of both. And as you are reflecting a little bit, I want you to also think about some of the situations where you are able to relate to this slide on a day to day basis. And then, of course, a question that I tend to ask: hybrid models, is it the best of both worlds? What do you guys think? Is it really the best of both worlds? Yeah. So they always say that every individuals want things differently. Every individual has got different goals. But let's take a look at hybrid work models. All right. So does it really optimize flexibility, productivity, and employee well-being? Well, it differs from person to person. How you are able to understand and utilize the word hybrid working model. So this is where organization management needs to come up with the ideas of cultural redesigning. So I'm going to give you an example of the Malaysian situation or in Malaysia. I'm sure you've heard of the oil and gas industry that is known as Petronas and Shell. All right, so Shell has this hybrid work model as well as Petronas. And after the pandemic, they've done a lot of research and study, and most employees find it very productive to have this hybrid work model. Until date or till today, they still follow this method. All right. So as we're looking at all this, think about what other cultural redesign can we do better. So this is where some of the very good examples as well, where we can relate to Microsoft, okay, very well-known organization, how they looked at technology and how they are able to empower their employees. So this is where they realize there's a lot of engagement. So the engagement and productivity is very crucial. And with the help of course, digital infrastructure. All right. And yes, of course, today you get to see, I'm sure you are also using Microsoft Teams for meetings, clients meetings, and etc. All right. And as we are moving on, we're looking at Standard Chartered. So the banking industry here has got a lot of relationship with the idea of bringing in stakeholders engagement. So how do you realize that? By investing in collaborative tools, bringing in everybody together, the support system that's been provided with the flexibility, productivity of employees got better. And one of the most important criteria here is the hybrid success. So imagine that Standard Chartered being in the finance banking industry, They've looked at things in a very different way, and they're able to rethink how job designs can be different. So whether they should change the methodology, or how do they look at superiors and subordinates relationship, bringing in leadership practices as well. Management is able to relate to the employees as well. And of course, think about some of the examples that I have given to you, and I hope you are able to relate to it as well. But saying that, these are some of the references based on today's presentation. And along the way, if you happen to have any Q&A, you can drop me a chat and we can take it further. Thank you so much
You
for
are now
today's
unmuted.
session. And you're most welcome. Sure.
You are now
Okay,
muted.
thank you so much for your question, Ishrat. Okay, well, I think it depends and it differs from person to person. All right. Our 10 fingers are not the same. So, this is where productivity comes in with our attitude, our discipline, and etc. And I want to touch a little bit about passion. How passionate are you about your job? So, the discipline and working from home comes in with your passion. How productive are you as well? So, if you remember during the pandemic, the example that I've given, most of us ended up working 24 hours. All right. So, how are we passionate about it? Is 24 hours enough to complete the task? Or are we forced to do it because we don't have a choice? So, the productivity comes in, the discipline comes in, the passion comes in, perseverance. Well, it differs from person to person.
You are now unmuted.
I hope I've answered your question, Ishrat. Okay, thank you
You
so
are
much
now
for your
muted.
question. So, I think being a manager, firstly, you need to understand that you're a human first. Secondly, is work. At the end of the day, making sure work meets the deadline, work is completed. That is priority number one. So I think managers should need to be flexible, but at the same time able to achieve all the deadlines with the help of their employees. So this is where there's a lot of relationship building that has to happen. The trust. The employees need to trust their superiors, subordinates need to trust their superiors, and that working relationship has to be there. All
You are
right,
now
it's right.
unmuted. You are
Okay,
now
so
muted.
that's a very tough question. So, being an educator myself, I have challenges too. I have a lot of deadlines. I've got lots of work to be completed, my modules for the week. I've got my research work. I've got a lot of things to be done. But the good thing about me is I am very passionate about my work. I like being an educator. So I'm able to switch off to a certain extent when I have done for the day, where I believe that, okay, it's time to take a me time, take a break, and just have it more on personal basis. So it's a personal me time. At times I'm not able to do it. It's due to my workload, my deadlines. Most of the time, all the deadlines will come at the very same time, same week, same day sometimes. But I'll try my best to juggle. And there are days where I take a break. I think the micro breaks are very important. Exercising is also very important. I personally like to exercise. I personally like to do yoga. And I think pranayama, breathing techniques really, really help.
You are now unmuted.
Sure.
You are now muted.
Okay, so this is a very typical scenario. When I finish my work, people give me more and more work. Okay, so ask yourself, your working hours are between 8:30 to 6. Yeah, but sometimes, we can't really follow that 8:30 to 6. But let's look at a priority. If that work is crucial, it has to be out on that day, it has to be completed, then you have to do it. Okay, so priority is very important. Okay, which falls under the first category? Highly prioritize your work. Which one falls under your medium category and the low category, which can be procrastinated but not too long? So if you're able to divide the task accordingly, I think work will never end. Okay, work will never end. And if you're able to divide the tasks, I think you're able to also prioritize things and focus on what's more important and then focus on what is least important.
You are now unmuted. You are now muted.
Totally relatable, yes. So I think we're all humans. We all do get tired. Yeah, we're not robots. So this is where you need to listen to your body. Listen to your body and ask yourself, do you need a break? So there's no harm in taking a micro break. Even your micro break is 5 minutes, 10 minutes is okay, but not 1, 2 hours. All right. Take a break. Just go and look at something green wherever you are seated. Stare at something green. They always say anything green will always help with your thinking process. Makes you feel a lot more calm. So if you're the kind of person who likes music, listen to a calming music. If you feel that taking a micro break and communicating with someone or going to the pantry and having a quick snack, if that helps you, then go ahead. So ask yourself what is the best for you.
You are now unmuted.
Okay, since you're just
You are now muted.
graduating, you need to have a very open mind. Open mind meaning that, yeah, today we're looking at Generation Z. Yeah, so the generation is different. Well, you need to be very flexible. All right, so there are days where if you are in the office, you have to switch your mode. Switch, tell yourself or ask yourself, okay, now I'm in the office environment and I will have to ensure my work is done. If I'm in the home environment, I just need to make sure my work is done. The end of the day, it doesn't matter, work has to be done. It's just that you will have to change your mode of thinking and also understanding that you're in a different environment. So the switch on, switch off mode is very important. To be adaptable to that environment is very crucial. So sometimes, when you're working from home, you see your bed and you say, okay, I need a micro break. Yes, you can take a micro break, but not too long. Maximum is a half an hour during your lunchtime. If you're in the office, like I mentioned earlier, you can go to the pantry, have coffee, have tea with your friends, perhaps have a conversation with a close colleague for 10, 15 minutes. Maybe after that, you'll feel better. So, this is where you need to be very flexible, have a very open mind.
You are now unmuted.
Okay, ma'am.
All right.
See, this is the question. Even I can relate to it. Like while studying, I can relate to it. If I sit on my laptop or phone while working, but actually at home they think that I am doing nothing. I'm free. How do I explain to them without getting frustrated?
You are now muted.
Okay, so yes, I know working with screens, it's tiring. It's tiring for your brain, it's tiring for your mind, tiring for your eyes. I would say that the best solution to this is again look at your priority, look at the to-do list. Okay, so you need to have a to-do list. For example, like every time I get to the university, I have my to-do list, and I notice that it always increases. But again, I prioritize number one, number two, number three. And yes, you stare, you look at your laptop. There are times where you just want to take a break. Yes, you can take breaks, but as long as you are able to complete your task, so the productivity comes in. The productivity is important. Completion of your task, your deadline is crucial. So that's what I feel.
You are now unmuted.
Sure. Okay,
You
so
are
you
now
miss
muted.
an email while you're working from home, is it? That's the question.
You are now unmuted.
Okay, so
You
now
are now
this is
muted.
it happens. We're all humans, we make mistakes. I would say that if you realized it when you were in the office and your manager confronted you, best to be honest. Tell him or her that you have overlooked, and you will look at it at the moment, and you will make sure priority number one goes towards the work. I would say it's always good to be honest than to lie. One white lie leads to 100 white lies, which brings in a lot of trouble and problems. So it's okay, you made a mistake, fine, as long as you admit and you be honest with the situation. But if you feel that you are afraid to confront or tell your manager, perhaps you can always speak to your team leader first before heading towards your manager. Get some assistance, get some advice from your team leader before approaching your manager, perhaps. So he or she might give you a good advice based on their experiences of working.
You are now unmuted.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering my questions and the audience questions. Let us end
You
the
must
session with some quirky questions. So,
sure.
if you had to describe work life balance in one word, what would it be?
Happiness.
True, ma'am. Okay. If work is 9 to 5 and life is after 5, where does traffic fit in?
Stress.
Okay. So, once again, thank you so much, ma'am. I thank you from the
You must welcome.
thank you on behalf of the organizing team too for joining us today, taking time off your busy schedule for us. So I hope we can have more collaborations in future, albeit more sessions too. So we would love hearing from you once again, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ishra. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for hearing my session. And yeah, all the best to each and one of you.
Thank you so much once again, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
You are now muted. You are now unmuted.
For the audience, our next session starts at 7:30. You can join again using the same live link. Till then,
Thank you very much.
You are
Thank
now
you very
muted.
much for inviting me to give a talk, and good morning. Actually, it's good evening, everybody. It's good morning where I am. I'm speaking from Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. It is morning. So I would like to talk about basically 3 points related to my career. So I'm going to take a liberty of providing some of the details about my career life. But in general, I would like to emphasize the role that education plays in our lives and careers as engineers. And education has played a very important role in my life, and it actually has brought me where I am today. And you will see that I come from a rather humble beginnings in a country that doesn't exist anymore. And then I came to US to study as a student, and then stayed a little bit longer, and then came to Canada to have a job as a professor. I'm a professor in the School of Engineering Science, and you will see that I do 2 major fields. And so that's sort of interesting point that actually I started as an engineer in majoring in power engineering, and I slowly moved based on the opportunities and based on the requirements into actually teaching communication networks. Life and career choices that I have made are simply examples of possibilities that are actually open to students. I'm going to talk about experiences that I had in industrial and academic jobs, and very often we start in industry. And some of the people who are engineers who are interested in academic jobs will then look for academic positions. I'm also a big volunteer. I spend a lot of time volunteering for non-for-profit organizations such as IEEE, and that has really made a major impact on my life. So very often when I talk about engineering opportunities, I talk not only about jobs and positions, but also about opportunities to volunteer for professional organizations and opportunities that such activities are giving you in order to enhance your career, in order to enhance your network, and meet very, very valuable colleagues and your mentors. I also would like to emphasize the importance and power of commitment. So always try to do your best. And very often we cannot achieve the best, but its most important thing is to really try to do the best throughout your life and throughout your various endeavors. So this is a bit about biographical note, and I take a liberty to talk about my life in hope that some of you get inspired and maybe follow the same path. So I get a degree in diploma engineering from University of Pristina. This is on the south of Serbia, and that was quite a while ago. I received a fellowship to go to US and to study at Syracuse University, where I stayed. I got very much interested not only in electrical engineering, but also in computing science, and I received 2 master degrees because slowly from electrical engineering I was moving into computing science and more interested in software really than the hardware. I went to UCLA to study in theoretical engineering. I worked on nonlinear circuits and systems. I was always very keen on circuits and systems, on theory of circuits and systems, on application of mathematics into understanding the behavior, especially in nonlinear systems. Then I stayed as a visiting lecturer. I had as a Fulbright scholar, I didn't really have a visa to continue the job immediately. So I was a visiting lecturer at UCLA, and then I became a member of AT&T Bell Labs. I was in Murray Hill in New Jersey, very interesting place at that time. It was a research place. It was quite interesting to meet all the people that work in Bell Labs. And so I was very thrilled and very honored actually to have a job there. Then I moved into Bell Communications Research because I was more interested in research parts. And this is why I slowly moved from electrical engineering into more or less computer engineering and computing science. I decided to leave the industry and go to academia after some time, after 7 years in industry, actually in research labs. I went to become a professor, and I started as a visiting professor at UC Berkeley, which was very exciting place, very interesting campus, interesting people to meet. And after 2 years, I became a professor at Simon Fraser University, and I have been here since 1998. So even though at the beginning I have moved through various industrial and research positions, I sort of settled down in one place. I think many people have a different career now. they would actually start and move through companies much more often than it was, example, in the past. So I sort of come from all the generation when you get a job and you stay at the job. I do two kinds of research. Now I do communication networks. That's a job position, but it's also interest of students. So I'm sort of trying to say that sometimes you move your research interest and your research projects based on the students that you get. So most of the students nowadays are interested in communication networks. So I do modeling and analysis on computer networks. And usually we do actually the data networks. I work for a long time on characterization and modeling of network traffic. Especially I'm interested in network traffic collected from deployed networks. We look at the performance analysis of communication networks using a variety of tools. We use specific tools for simulation of networks. Very often people would do computer testbeds. We don't have a lab here, but I do a lot of software. We use NS3, OpNet, OmNet++, a variety of tools where I can simulate communication networks. And that's opportunity for students to learn the tools. And then later on, when they get the jobs in local industry, they can actually carry that knowledge because a lot of companies are actually using the tools in order to simulate the networks that they plan to deploy. Simulation of protocols and network algorithms is also of interest. And as I mentioned, as we speak, there are a lot of protocols that are implemented in the internet, especially on the application layer. And so I also moved into control of communication systems. So you can see all of these activities are related on one field in computer engineering, which is communication networks. I started my engineering career by working in nonlinear circuits and systems. As I mentioned, I was very interested in theoretical aspects. I look at analysis even today of complex system in networks. Very often I have visitors, usually undergrad and grad students who are still interested in some of the theoretical aspects. I look at the theory of nonlinear circuits and systems, still a very interesting field. Not very many students are interested in nonlinear circuits and systems, but it's from a theoretical point of view an important aspect of understanding the system that we say today. I also looked very much hands-on on developing software tools for circuit simulation, and I became IEEE fellow based on implementation of homotopy methods for finding. I'm sorry.
You are now unmuted.
I'm sorry. It became the slide became very big. Can you continue? Okay. I don't know if it was me, but suddenly my slides became enormous. Can we do it again? I don't see it anymore. Okay. I see it's just me. I don't see the slide. Okay. Okay. I got it. It's all okay now. Okay. Is it okay on your
You are now
side?
muted. You are now unmuted.
Yeah. So
are now
I
muted.
worked on various applications of differential geometry, actually, on understanding the behavior of circuits. And we were very much interested, for example, in Bell Labs, in understanding the designs that our local engineers made, because they wanted to simulate the circuit before they implemented and committed to silicon. So I work on various methods from the differential geometry in order to find the solutions to the circuits, usually bipolar circuits or metal oxide semiconductors, transistor circuits. That was very much a hands-on experience. Okay. I see huge
You are
slides.
now
I don't know
unmuted.
what you see. I cannot zoom out. I don't know how to zoom out, okay? Can you do a normal size? I don't know what happens. Yeah. Okay. So, okay.
You are now muted.
In addition to my research experience and experience in development labs, such as AT&T Bell Labs and Bellcore, I also teach. and that's really my career for last 27 years. So I teach communication networks, a variety of courses in the School of Engineering Science. So it sort of shows you the transition from engineer who worked in industry, basically, even though they were research labs, to actually becoming an academic, where most of my day today is actually related to teaching and research with my graduate students. I teach courses in communication networks, undergraduate and graduate courses. I also teach higher level courses in network protocols and performance. And sometimes I provide special topics in communication networks, then I concentrate more on the research aspects of the field. I also teach circuits and systems. And for example, today is the first day of classes at my university. So later on today, we are going to start electric circuits course. It's a course for the second year students. And in the past, I also taught undergraduate third year course in electric circuits. And very seldom these days, I give a course in special topics in theory analysis and simulation of circuits. So let's see if that's going to work. So this is where I came from. I still have memories from the mountains where I grew up. I grew up on a border between Yugoslavia at that time and Albania. So I have found a NATO map where actually you can see the border here if you see my slide, my mouse. And somewhere there, it's actually a little town. When I started my education, it was very interesting because it was a very limited opportunities. Literally in one room, we had 4 rows of benches, and one row was a grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4. So because my father worked for the army and he moved his family through various locations, so actually I started my education in a very tiny, small place in the mountains on the border between Montenegro and Albania. So I'm going to be very careful about the slides that I click now. So I hope now it's okay. And I'm speaking from Burnaby campus at Simon Fraser University. We are this year actually celebrating 60 years, so it's a relatively young university. So it sort of shows you engineering career from graduating, doing my PhD, through working in research labs, and then coming and becoming a professor at the university. And this is a Burnaby campus. It's all the campus of my university. I run a communication networks lab, so I want to show how important it is to really have a teamwork. I have a lot of foreign students, and so these are different generations of the students over the last quarter of a century that I educated, and some of them are now happily employed. All of them are happily employed, some of them in Canada, some of them have gone to their own home countries to become engineers and to work in the fields. I want to talk about the talk given by Richard Hamming that was given in Belcourt. It's a famous talk, and it's called You and Your Research. Professor Hamming spent 30 years at the Bell Laboratories. He was a professor at the University of Monterrey, Naval Postgraduate School. But he spent 30 years in Bell Labs, and it's known by his work in mathematics, information theory, coding, and computing science. So you probably have heard about the Hamming window. He gave a quite known talk, and you can actually get a talk on the web. It's available on the internet. His talk centered on Hamming observations and research on the question, why do so few scientists make significant contributions and so many are forgotten in the long run? So I was very fascinated by the talk, and actually it was introduced by my own PhD advisor, Professor Alan Wilson from UCLA. So it was very interesting to see Professor Hamming's hints about what can you do in order to make your career successful. So his talk is also about what he has learned in terms of the properties of the individual scientist, their abilities, traits, working habits, attitudes, and philosophy. So his main message is, if you choose to assert your ego in any number of ways, I'm going to do it my way. You pay a small, steady price throughout the whole of your professional career. And this, over a whole lifetime, adds up to an enormous amount of needless trouble. So please remember that if you're a student. So in summary, some of the reasons why so many people who have greatness within their grasp don't succeed are they don't work on important problems. And I cannot underestimate how important it is to actually choose important problems to work on. They don't become emotionally involved. Loving the field, loving the project that you have, gets you emotionally involved, and that makes the job much easier and more successful. If you don't try and change what is difficult to some other situation, which is easily done, but it's still important, and they keep giving themselves alibis why they don't. So this is a crux of the message from Professor Hamming. So he has a famous saying, luck favors a prepared mind. Luck changes the odds, but there is some definite control on the part of the individual. But one important prescription is to work hard. So, in terms of teachers, I have quoted here some famous sayings for those engineers who actually go into academia and like to teach. So, the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires. The teacher who is indeed wise does not bid you to enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your mind. And you probably have heard of Khalil Gibran. A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. Because as engineers, we actually have two different careers, right? We have a career in research institutions, development jobs. We have development jobs, and some of us actually choose to be educators. Great teachers do not all have a single style, but they do all have a singular goal, to reach students in ways that they have deep and lasting influence on how they think and act throughout their lives and career. And that comes from a famous Haas School of Business in UC Berkeley. So the great teacher communicates a thorough knowledge of and enthusiasm for the relevant field of subject, presents that key knowledge coherently and connects it with other fields, allied fields or subjects, challenges students and increases their capacity for independent thought, transforms, enhances, or innovates teaching methodology and practice. So, in addition to actually working hard and following all the guidelines, there is something else that actually gets you to the top. So we talk about guts, gumptions, smarts, and luck. So I have this old contour that said, the engineer comes and tells to the manager or to the boss, I'm going to make it to the top. I have guts, I have gumptions, I have smarts, and I have luck. And the boss said, or the manager says, it's not enough. So what do you mean it's not enough? So it turns out that very important skill that some of us engineers forget about is actually their communication skills. So presenting your way to the top. No skill opens more doors, creates more visibility, or gives you more opportunity to exercise power, right or wrong, fair or unfair. The person who is capable of articulating an idea is usually credited with having had it. And some of the organizations, actually universities, in the undergraduate studies, they have a very strong communication program. So for example, in my School of Engineering, we have communication courses. We actually educate our young engineers in order to present their ideas in a coherent way. So communication is a very important part of our education. Over 2,000 British chief executive officers rated the 5 factors they felt were most influential in their rise to the top. First, the ability to work with a variety of people. And this is something we cannot avoid in our career. Working with people, it's always very difficult, but it's a very important aspect of our career. So the ability to work with a variety of people, it's a skill that should be acquired. Early overall responsibility for important tasks. So climbing up the managerial ladder, but still keeping technical abilities and technical savvy is very important. A need to achieve results. And some of us who work in industry actually understand that achieving results is very important. And in academia, achieving results is actually finishing a project, publishing a paper in a conference, publishing a paper in a journal, and actually seeing our students graduate and get jobs. Leadership experience early in a career. So very often, we don't have such opportunities very early when we are undergraduate students. But nowadays, if you volunteer for professional organizations, you will have a lot of opportunities to actually exercise your leadership capabilities and actually gain the experience. So wide experience in many functions prior to age 35. So this is a very old quote for US News and World Report. You see it's 1989. But these are the communication skills that we talk about. Okay? Now, there are a variety of professional organizations, and I'm going to mention some of them. IEEE is something that I'm very much involved with. I'm going to try to look at that, click on the live link, and I hope I can come back after that. Maybe not. Okay. So in my presentation local, actually, if you click a link, you can open the site. But it's not possible now because I uploaded presentation on your site. But these are the organizations that I work with. I volunteered very early, not so much as a student, but as a young engineer in Bell Communications Lab and in Bell Labs. And I found IEEE actually my home, professional home. I volunteered for a variety of opportunities. I started very simple. So no volunteer job is simple enough or small enough to start. I started literally as a scribe at a meeting. I remember that was a conference, International Symposium of Circuits and Systems, and it was in Chicago. And my PhD advisor took me to the meeting of the Technical Committee on Nonlinear Circuits and Systems, and I volunteered to take the notes. Then I created a web page for the Technical Committee. I created a mailing list. And I never imagined that later on I am going to become a president of that society, Circuits and Systems Society, that Technical Committee on Nonlinear Circuits and Systems belong to. So if you have a volunteer opportunity, take it. Everybody needs volunteers. Everybody wants volunteers. So try to do your job well. Try to commit to honor the commitments you make, even in a volunteer organization. And the opportunities are going to open. I'm a member of IEEE Women Engineering. Find a niche, find a sub-organization within a big organization that you are emotionally attached to. So Women Engineering is a large affinity group within IEEE, a lot of activities, a lot of local activities, a lot of opportunities for undergraduate and graduate students and young professionals to actually get involved. There is also Association of Computing Machinery. This is more for people who are in computing science. So I'm also a member of ACM. I don't volunteer that much for ACM, but I still publish papers in their conferences and the journals. Scientific Society Sigma Xi is something that I joined when I graduated. They have chapters and they have organizations throughout universities. And at the encouragement of my PhD advisor at that time, I joined Sigma Xi Society, and I'm still a member. There is also Society of Women Engineering, so you don't have to do, the volunteer for IEEE or ACM or Sigma Xi. You can actually find other organizations where you can volunteer and you can get involved and create your own community. In terms of IEEE, I hope you all know about it. It's a professional association of electrical and electronic engineers. Nobody really spells the acronym anymore. We still call it IEEE. It's a New York State non-for-profit corporation, so it's governed by New York law for corporate governance issues, but it is an international organization. So it's a U.S. corporation but governed by U.S. law. It's a member organization, so we don't have a shell quarters. We have over 500,000 at this moment members. It's focused on public benefit. It's organized as a single organization, and it's governed by what we call a board of directors. Okay? It has its own vision and mission, and I'm just giving you an example of a professional, non-for-profit organization when you can actually join. So, for example, IEEE will be essential to the global technical community and to technical professionals everywhere, and to be universally recognized for the contributions of technology and of technical professionals in improving global conditions. Its mission, IEEE's core purpose is to foster technological innovation and excellence for the benefit of humanity. Some stats, as of today, actually as of yesterday, it has more than 486,000 members in more than 190 countries, 347 sections in 10 geographical regions worldwide. Nowadays, we are going through reconstruction, so actually we are going to have 11th geographical region that covers, for example, India, Australia, so we are going to some reorganization in terms of geographic regions. There are a lot of society chapters, over 2,815 society chapters, very important student branches, 3,630 student branches in universities. For example, we have a student branch at my university. I'm a mentor for the branch for quite a few years. The branch has a counselor, usually a professor who is interested, and both undergraduate and graduate students can be involved. So these student branches exist in over 100 countries. There are many chapters. Right, every student branch can have a chapter. Student branch chapters are related to the field of interest of specific societies. So, for example, students who are interested in circuits can have a student branch chapter within a university. So there are quite a few of those, and they're very much connected with the technical societies and the technical interest of students. Both undergrad and grad students can join a branch chapter. There are many affinity groups. For example, there is IEEE USA Consultant Group, young professionals, very much relevant to engineers who graduate and join the industry or academia. So we call them young professionals. In the old days, we called them graduates of the gold decades or golds. Women engineering that I mentioned, they are life members. So, for example, I'm already a life member. You have to be old enough and you have to be a member for a long time. And after that, you become a life member. And there is also IEEE Entrepreneurship Affinity Group. IEEE also employs, they has full-time employers, and there are over 1,200 plus employees globally. A little bit about geographical regions. As I mentioned, we are going through reconstruction. So, for example, regions 3 to 6 in 2 years are going to be located in USA. Canada is region 7, Latin America is 9, Asia and Africa and Europe is region 8, and region 10 is going to be divided actually into 2 regions. So it's going to be a little bit of restructure. This is an old map that we have 10 regions, and you can see India belongs to region 10. A lot of members, a lot of student members, and that's the reason why IEEE is going to reconstruction to actually recognize the demographic difference when most of the students, most of the graduate students, most of the members actually come from region 10. Okay. So now, can you also reduce the slides? I don't know why the slides are becoming bigger, ma'am. I would like to show some statistics. Oh, okay.
You are now
All right. I managed. I think it's me. It's my mouse, so I apologize. So as I mentioned, in terms of IEEE, it's really connection with the technical fields. We have 39 societies, depending on the field of interest. For example, Circuits and Systems Society deals with circuits. I'm an avid member of a System and Cybernetics Society, very large, very broad field of interest. So there is really room for all the technical interests of our students and senior members. More than 6 million documents in IEEE Explorer Library, with more than 8 million downloads each month. Over 1,000 active standards. IEEE is very much known for standards. For example, Wi-Fi was a standard that was developed by IEEE. More than 1,000 standards under development. Publishes approximately 200 transactions, journals, and magazines of high quality. So it's very prestigious to actually publish some of these transactions. Sponsors many conferences, currently over 2,000 conferences in 109 countries. Publishes a lot of conference papers. So there are over 4.5 million total conference papers in IEEE Explorer since 1936. And there are more than 280,000 new papers added annually. So you can really see the global organizations with a lot of opportunities to get involved and to volunteer. My biographical note, just to show you that it's possible to get involved, starting from as a freshly graduate student from UCLA. I became a scribe, I became a webmaster, and I maintained a mailing list to become actually a Division I of the Board of Directors member in 2019 and 20. I was also president of System and Cybernetics Society. But at post, I worked my way up from being a member of the Board of Governors to being a vice president for long-range planning, vice president publications, and the president of the society. So I'm sort of now what they call a past president. I was first involved in Circuits and Systems Society. This was related to my personal interest in circuits. And I was a member of the Board of Governors and then president in 2007. It's just to sort of give you a feel about what are the positions that you can make. And I always started very small, even in System and Cybernetics Society around 2010, 2008, 9, 10. I had a neighbor who was very much involved in society, and he asked me to maintain an Excel spreadsheet for conferences, for VP conferences. So I always started very small from the very beginning. And it was really a sort of giving me opportunity to learn about the society and in a way to contribute. So usually I say every volunteer position is actually opportunity to contribute. I also am very involved in my local chapter. I belong to the IEEE Circuits and Systems Society joint chapter with Vancouver and Victoria sections. Chapters can also share geographical regions if they border. So when Vancouver borders with the Victoria section, so we have a joint chapter. And I was also chair of the technical committee on nonlinear circuits and systems. So I'm very much involved and hands-on even locally. And my suggestion is if you want to get involved with your local section, get involved with your local chapter, depending on your technical interest. I'm also involved with conferences, and I'm going to be a co-chair for System and Cybernetic Conference in 2026. It's going to be held in Seattle, in the US, just south of the border. I was also involved in SMD 2020. It was virtually held in Toronto. It was the first conference done during COVID. So we had a lot of learning pains in order to figure out how to do conferences virtually. Now it's standard, it's possible to do virtual presentations, to do hybrid conferences, but at that time it was very difficult. It was just at the beginning of COVID when we still didn't really know how to do hybrid conferences. I was also a program co-chair for ISCAS 2005, and I can say that 2004, that was held in Vancouver, actually was my first big conference. And that was really the beginning of my heavy involvement with Circuit System Society. It was a very successful conference 21 years ago, and I was a technical program chair. It was my first big volunteer job, and I'm very proud of it. Publications are very important in our field. If you work in a research lab, that's also very important, but very much so when you are in academia. So it's very important to publish, the term publish or perish. So I try to publish in good conferences with my students. I always publish with my students, sometimes with my colleagues, but very often, if not predominantly with students, both undergrads sometimes and grad students. I'm currently running a transactions on human-machine systems, and that's quite a heavy job, but it's quite actually interesting. I always encourage people to become associate editors, to become reviewers of the journals. I'm also associate editor-in-chief for the Open Journal of System Engineering, and in the past I was associate editor for transactions in circuits and systems, because this was my field when I graduated, did a PhD, and I try to contribute, and as a reviewer, as associate editor, also in circuits and systems area. I do give a lot of talks, and I encourage you very much to do the same. If you are undergraduate students, volunteer to give the talks, even outside of your classes. If you are a graduate student, volunteer for various speaking activities. And of course, if you are a young professor or young researcher in industry, volunteer to give the talks. It's a good experience. It's opportunity to meet people. It's opportunity to improve your communication skills. And I'm also a professional member of Eta Kappa Nu. I didn't join when I graduated. I had an opportunity, but I think I was too overwhelmed with graduation and looking for a job. So I joined later on as a professional member to IEEE, and I'm a fellow of IEEE since 2005. And that's quite an honor. I have gotten the honor because of my work when I was in Bell Labs. I work on homotopy methods for improving circuit simulators, and especially with the hands-on implementation of these methods in circuit simulators, such as a device which was used in Bell Labs, Titan that was used in Siemens, and I also work on a free version open to the research community. So there are a variety of professional organizations to join, such as young professionals. So I strongly encourage you, if you graduated, if you're a young engineer, young professor, join as a young professional. These are graduate students and higher grade members with 15 years after receiving their first professional degree. And the first professional degree is usually your bachelor degree. So higher grade members beyond 15 years can also wish to opt in. And so there are a lot of more senior volunteers who are actually members of the young professionals. A lot of activities. Unfortunately, with this presentation, I cannot click. There is a live link. So if you go on the link, you can see a lot of opportunities and activities. Very active group of young volunteers, and usually we say that young volunteers are actually future leaders of the IEEE as a professional organization. So I strongly encourage you to join and to become active, and they really have a lot of activities for young professionals. There are also women in engineering, and I was interested because I'm a female professor, so I had my own struggle in my career in order to deal with a variety of obstacles in an engineering field if you are female. So there is organization, it's an affinity group, very large affinity group that we call VIA, Women Engineering. And if you want to join, you can actually write to the chair and join its affinity group called Women Engineering. So the mission of Women Engineering is to facilitate the global inspiration, engagement, and advancement of women in the technical discipline. IEEE Women Engineering envisions a vibrant community of IEEE women and men, collectively using their diverse talents to innovate for the benefit of humanity. And so they organize a lot of local events, a lot of opportunities to speak, a lot of opportunities to network, and it was established in 1995, so it has more than 31 years of history. They organize a conference called International Leadership Conference. They also organize a lot of local conferences. For example, this is a snippet from the past. In 2018, there was a conference organized in San Jose, and it's usually organized in San Jose, and one was organized this year. And it's quite an impressive collection of speakers and leaders from industry, from academia. And if you ever get a chance to participate, if not necessarily in the International Leadership Conference, we call it ILC, find a local conference in your region in order to join, participate, listen, talk, give a talk, and network with the successful both women and men, because VIA is not only for women, it's actually men can join also, and we very much encourage diverse membership. If you didn't have a chance, look at the VIA magazine. It's an award-winning magazine, and Karen Panetta that you see here on the right-hand side, it's editor-in-chief, very active volunteer, and it's a quite interesting magazine that's published by women in engineering. All right, so now I mentioned that a variety of these groups, such as young professionals and in case even in engineering, actually organize local events. So you can see some snippets from the events organized in Egypt, in Madras section, in Brazil, Ecuador. And I'm just going to show you these happy faces from a variety of events locally organized. So if you are into women engineering, join the local group, join the local affinity group, and you can see a lot of activities. Sometimes, very often, they do tea parties almost every week. It's an opportunity to meet your colleagues, to meet your faculty members, to meet engineers that work in local industry, and it's a very vibrant community. And I'm just going to show you a couple of slides that are showing variety of events in a variety of fields. As I mentioned, both men and women are welcome. So if you are into it, if you are a member of IEEE, join Women Engineering. And for student members, actually, it's not that expensive. It's affordable. And in some regions, we actually have a heavy discount in order to join. As a student, it's actually very affordable. There are also other internet resources. I'm talking about IEEE because I know a lot about that organization, but there are also computer professionals for social responsibility. And there is also a famous ADA project. It's called TAP ADA project. And if you get a chance to see the slides, all these links are actually very active. So now, I want to mention something that's very much of interest today. How do we manage research in the age of artificial intelligence? And this is on everybody's minds these days. It's introduction of ChatGPT 2 years ago. And it's creating a very different field for our endeavors. So the key principle of ethical use of AI and ethical AI design initiative, I want to mention, because AI has its own ethical issues to solve. So we would like to address human rights, well-being, accountability, transparency, and to minimize the misuse. And in terms of IEEE involvement, IEEE has this ethical AI system design and implementation. It helps professional and organizations build and deploy trustworthy AI systems that respect human values and fundamental rights. There are tools. If you have any doubts about what's ethical, what's not ethical, what are the opportunities, and what are the drawbacks, there are tools and resources from IEEE, such as IEEE standards, IEEE certified I8, training programs such as Ethical for AI System Design, Ethical Design Frameworks, and guidelines for publications. There is a tool called IEEE Certified AI Aid, and I have actually put a web page from the IEEE Standard Association, and one can actually get certified and get a mark of AI ethics. So IEEE is very much involved and in developing standards for ethical use of AI. There are also other companies who do that. For example, AI Ethics 101 for comparing IEEE, European Union, and OECD guidelines. So this is a website for comparison. And if you are interested in it, I strongly encourage you to actually join. As editor-in-chief of a journal, I'm very much concerned about use of AI in publications. So I have taken a webpage from IEEE Robotics and Automation Society. It's one of the 39 societies within IEEE. We call it RAS, Robotics and Automation. And so they really have posted a very nice guidelines for generative AI usage. You probably realize that now with ChatGPT, it's very difficult to distinguish what's original, what's actually result of using ChatGPT. And as educators, we also have a problem with students misusing AI. And of course, AI is here to stay and to get developed, but some guidelines about usage are very important. Excuse me. So, for example, on their webpage, they have a very nice writing and revision, guidelines for writing and revision of manuscripts. So under no circumstances is it permitted to use AI tools to fabricate and manipulate data, code, figures, or other research output with the intention of falsifying, distorting research results. Still, the use of AI tools is allowed and even encouraged in the process of paper writing and revising within limits. Researchers remain fully responsible for AI outputs as well as the appropriateness of the research process for which AI is used. So there is Committee of Publication Ethics, or COP, that authors are fully responsible for the content of their manuscript, even those parts produced by an AI tool, and are thus liable for any breach of publication ethics. There is European Code for Conduct for Research Integrity that requires researchers to report the use of AI tools in accordance with standards of the scientific field to which they belong. So yes, AI is here to stay. ChatGPT and their various developments are there to stay, but we have to understand that they have to be used in an ethical manner. IEEE also has its own, I'm sorry, maybe I spoke too much, that its own PBS operation manual, its Publication Services and Products Board. And I'm just quoting important parts that are related to AI. If you are publishing in IEEE, you have to obey and follow the rules. So the use of content generated by artificial intelligence in an article, including but not limited to text, figures, images, and code, shall be disclosed in the acknowledgement section of any article submitted to IEEE publication. That's very important. The AI system used shall be identified, and specific sections of the article that use AI-generated content shall be identified and accompanied by a brief explanation regarding the level at which the AI system was used to generate the content. The use of AI system for editing and grammar enhancement is common practice, and as such is generally outside the intent of the above policy. In this case, disclosure, as noted above, is recommended. Something very important for us, it's also another section of a PSPB operation manual. Information or content contained in or about a manuscript under review shall not be processed through a public platform, directly or indirectly, for AI generation of text for review. Doing so is considered a breach of confidentiality because AI systems generally learn from any input. So these are the two important rules that IEEE actually imposes on using AI in their publications. So what I try to cover in my talk is the role that education plays in our lives and career. And I took a liberty of using my own education and my own educational path that brought me where I'm here. I'm sort of almost ready to retire. So I had a long path from the first bachelor degree in electrical engineering that I received in old Yugoslavia, in a small town in the south in Kosovo, and where I'm here, professor at Simon Fraser University. But education has played a very important role in my lives, and I see in the lives of my students. Life and career choices and experience in industrial and academic jobs, they're also very important. I had both limited experience in industry, in research labs, and then for last 25 years or so, having academic job in institution where I'm now. And also, very important part of my career development was the opportunities to volunteer for professional organizations. And most of my volunteer life is really volunteering for IEEE. And this is why I mentioned IEEE. A lot of opportunities for young undergraduate and graduate students to get involved. And that's how I started. Actually, I didn't get involved so much as a student, but I get involved very much as a young engineer when I start working for Bell Labs. And I also wanted to emphasize in my talk the importance and power of commitments to always try to achieve one's best. We always try to do your best, and in the long run, it's going to pay off. So that's the end of my talk. And
You are now unmuted.
I have finished a bit earlier, but some open for questions. If you have any questions to ask me, okay? Sorry about my voice, okay? It is 7 in the morning. It's now 8 in the morning here, okay? Thank you.
You are now muted. You are now unmuted.
Okay. Okay, so that's a great question. Thank you very
are now
much.
muted.
So IEEE has a lot of student branches. For example, at Simon Fraser University where I am, we have a very strong student branch. So we can organize a student branch in IEEE. I think you need, I don't remember exactly how many student members. I might be wrong, maybe 12 student members, and you can organize a student branch. Okay? And so student branches are very active. They do a lot of seminars, a lot of social events for the students. So if you're a IEEE student member, you can organize a student branch. And many, many universities have student branches. You can also have student branches that are affiliated with societies. And depending on your field of interest, you have to be IEEE member, and a student membership is relatively affordable. If you cannot afford it, you can also send me a message, and I can actually try to see what we can be done. But the membership is very reasonable. So student branch is a sort of entry into the IEEE volunteer community. If you are undergraduate, a graduate student, we have a very active student branch at Fraser University, and they do a lot of activities, a lot of social activities. For example, at the beginning of every semester, we have a pancake party when we invite new students to join the party, and if they want, they can actually join the IEEE. I hope I'm answering your question, but you can establish a student branch if you. Just a moment. If you go on the IEEE webpage, actually you can see how it's done. I don't think you need more than 12 members in order to have a student branch.
You are now unmuted.
What do you do in the student branch?
Oh, a lot of activities. Okay, so once you establish a student branch, you actually become to the section. So student branches become to the local section. So for example, in Vancouver, we have a local Vancouver section. Sections are more organizing members within a geographical area. So student branches belong to the section. So you have to collect 12 signatures. If I'm wrong, correct. I can send you the message about it. So you collect the signatures and you ask to establish a student branch. Student branches are connected with universities. So every university can have one student branch. So example, Simon Fraser University has a student branch. University of British Columbia has a student branch. BCIT has a student branch, and we are all located in Greater Vancouver. So student branches are connected with universities. So you can establish a student branch within your university, right? You can ask, there are a lot of information on the web. And then once you establish a student branch, you can do a lot of activities. You actually can get a subsidy from the section. Sections are related to the geographical area of IEEE members. So, for example, we have a Vancouver section. There is adjacent Victoria section, but we belong to the Vancouver section, and the student branch belongs to the section. So the section can guide you, and the section can provide the funding, for example, to have social events. Sometimes you organize small seminars or small conferences. These are student branches are composed of undergraduate and graduate students, and you have your, the leadership within the student branch. And I'm sure you have a local section wherever you are, right? But if not, you ask me, I can actually guide you. And you can provide you can do a lot of activities, from social activities, such as, for example, pancake party for incoming students, to actually, let's say, teaching MATLAB, when you invite a speaker to teach students MATLAB, or any other technical topic. And the student branches are, the members of student branches are undergraduate and graduate students, both of them. Did I answer your question?
You are now unmuted.
Hello? Yeah. So if you do not know where to find the information, but if you just go on IEEE webpage, you can look at the student branches. There are many, many of those. Almost every university has a student branch. And it's a good opportunity. It's a good entry opportunity to become a valuable IEEE member later on, right? And it doesn't, I don't think it costs any money. I don't think it costs any money to become a student member. I think it costs some money. I think it's approximately $30. But you can ask me about that later. So the membership does cost some money. But I think there are all sorts of subsidies that the section will do for you if you cannot afford it. And so the student branches do a lot of activities, social activities. We have a pancake party, for example, at the beginning of the semester. The student branch would organize a pancake party for undergrads and grad students, right, in order to get them informed about IEEE or become a member.
You are now unmuted.
Did I answer your question?
You are now
Computing
muted.
science is an excellent field, right? My background is electrical engineering. But throughout my career, I have sort of moved into fields that are more related to computing science. So from getting a bachelor degree in power engineering back in Yugoslavia, where I grew up, I sort of moved into software development when I worked for Bell Labs, into computer networks when I became academic. So computing science is an excellent field, right, in order to be there. So I strongly encourage you to actually go to graduate school if you can afford it. If you are a good student and have opportunities, you can get a fellowship to graduate school. But within undergraduates, you have a lot of opportunities to actually do something with your degree in computing science. Can you repeat the question if I miss anything from the question, please?
You are now unmuted.
But the computing science is such a great and large field, right? Because you can do a lot of opportunities with computing science, especially nowadays. So I don't understand exactly. I'm missing details in the question, right? There are a lot of new graduates, but not everything is programming. There are a lot of fields, there are a lot of jobs in computing science that are related to other fields, especially now with artificial intelligence. I think a lot of computing science is actually learning the tools of artificial intelligence. And so in my view, there are a lot of opportunities for computing scientists. And I don't understand at which stage of your career the person who is asking a question is. If going to graduate school, if you don't have a master degree, it's also very valuable if you can afford it. There are sort of organizations, if you're at a certain stage, they can actually get you the funding in order to do graduate studies. If you have a job, you can do graduate studies in the evening. We have a lot of programs for people who are actually professionals. For example, at my university, we have a Master of Engineering program, right? And there is also a Master in Computing Science, where you can actually take the courses in the evening and get a master degree. And if you're very much into research, a PhD, but that's a longer term plan. So depending on the stage of your career. And, it's very easy to actually change the focus. So you might be like, for example, my degree was in power engineering, but when I moved to US and did my graduate studies, I moved more into software engineering, into more theory. So I don't really do power engineering anymore because the field evolves and you have to follow, innovate. So I would not move from computing science. I think it's a very powerful degree that you have with a lot of opportunities and a lot of fields that you can choose from there. I hope I have answered your question.
Okay, ma'am. One more question. I am a student. I want to be a professor. I have worked various part-times teaching students. So I think this is the best for me. Can you guide me how to be a good professor in future, or what steps should I take to be a future professor in future?
You are breaking up, ma'am. You are breaking up. Can you repeat?
Okay, sorry, ma'am.
Ma'am, the voice is breaking. The voice is breaking up. Can you repeat, please? Your voice is breaking up. I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat, please? I don't hear you very well. You are breaking up.
You are now muted.
I don't hear you at all now. Hello?
You
Hello?
are now unmuted.
Yes. Not anymore. No, you're breaking up, ma'am. I cannot understand what you're saying. You are breaking up.
You are now muted.
I don't hear you, ma'am. Now I don't hear you at all. Do you hear me?
You are now unmuted.
Hello.
You are now muted.
I don't hear you.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I think there was an issue with that device. I will speak from here. Okay. So the question was, I want to be a professor. I'm interested in the teaching field. I have worked various part times teaching students. So I think this is really for me. Can you guide me on the steps I should take to be a professor, a good professor?
Yes, I heard the question. So, a very nice question. Actually, I'm going to just tell you how I have done it because I always wanted to be in academia. And that's why I went for my PhD. So I came from Yugoslavia at that time to US to study master degree and PhD because I always wanted to be in academia. Unfortunately, because of the visa issues, because I was a student on a J1 visa at that time, I couldn't get academic job. And that's why I went to research places such as Bell Labs and Belcor. But I always wanted to have academic job. And it was a difficult transition from industry to academia. And you have to do it early enough. You cannot wait to be 50 or 60 in order to move to academia. It's very difficult, especially if you are looking for research places. And I was always looking for universities that actually had PhD program because I wanted to do research. So you have to do it early enough. And you have to have publications. So when I worked for Bell Labs and Belcor, sometimes it's not easy to publish. So if in order to have a high-level academic jobs, you have to publish. You know the saying, publish or perish. So it's important. And in some research places at that time, there was a problem with the industry, economically. So it was very difficult to publish. So it was my choices where to go in terms of academic positions were very limited. But I spent 7 years in industry, and then I moved to academia. So it's possible to do it, but you have to do it early enough, especially if you are interested in research-oriented places. If you are interested in teaching, that's a little bit of a different path. There are many institutes, for example, where you are supposed to teach and have limited research. And those jobs are easier to find if you get a little bit older. But approximately by the time of 40 years of age, you should be able to land academic career in decent academic institutions. The importance about landing a career in research academic institution is to publish, right? Because publications are very important. And it's not very easy to publish. If you have a good research group with your students, yes, it's easier. I was very picky in terms of publishing. I wanted to publish in the best places. So my publication numbers are not that high. And that very much affected my possibilities and opportunities in terms of landing a job in academic institution. I still try to publish, of course. So if you are looking for research, academic, and teaching job, you have to publish. So that's important. So from your question, it's not clear to me whether you are looking for a research academic job or you are looking for a job in a teaching institution. In both cases, it's important to make a transition early enough, right? Between, I think, 40, 45 is approximately the limit. I came to SFU, I was already relatively old. And so that affected my possibilities and opportunities. But it's possible. And I always wanted to work in academia. So I made my move after 7 years in industry. Even though industry were research labs, I moved to academia and I stayed in academia because I like the academic freedom. I like the option to choose the project I want to do. I like the option to work with young minds because I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot from my graduate and undergraduate students, and I also enjoy teaching. So I hope I have answered your question. But you have to start early enough, right? In some places, if you have made a big career in industry, in big research labs, you can actually move into high-level academic positions even later, like in your 50s and 60s. Because they will value very much your industrial research experience if you come from research labs, but even there, you have to maintain publishing. So publishing is very important if you want to continue academic positions. And I usually select to publish in good journals. So I'm sort of more for the quality than the quantity, but there is a fine balance in between. So you have to publish in decent places, decent conferences, reputable journals. And for example, IEEE and ACM journals are reputable if you want to have your full-time academic career. But a lot of people like part-time teaching, so they would actually keep industrial job and be adjunct professors in various universities that they can teach. But I'm talking about full-scale academic career, where you move from industry to academia. You have to do it early enough, and you have to publish. And it's important to publish even if you're industry. If you are in a research place, publications are possible and encouraged. And in many conferences, we actually have a lot of people from industrial research labs who come and publish. So it's very important to publish if you want to have academic job. They usually say publish or perish. So publications are very, very important. Because this is the way how you express yourself. This is the way how you tell to the world, this is what I have done. So in a way, publication, it's a closure. You have a project, you have students working on, students will get credit for what they are working on, they can graduate, but at the very end, the top of the cake, the icing on the cake, it's actually the publication. And so if you publish, it's possible to move from industry into academia, but publications are a must. And I usually encourage people to publish in good places because it takes the same amount of time to publish in a lousy journal and to publish in a good journal. So it's better to actually put an effort into publishing in good journals. And as I mentioned, IEEE and ACM are good journals. But you have to actually conscientiously work on transition from going from industry to academia. You have to nurture your writing. You have to nurture your speaking skills. You have to go to conferences. You have to publish. If you are looking for academic job, if you are looking for teaching job, in many teaching jobs, publications are not that important, but the teaching skills are important. And the industrial experience is very important for academic jobs. So, for example, I think I have gotten a position at Fraser University based on my experience in Bell Labs and Belco. So industrial experience is also very valuable, even in prestigious institutions. And very often today when I teach, I actually still bring examples from the time when I was a designer in Bell Communications Research. I was a hardware designer. Actually, I designed some counters for some network elements. So I bring this to the students to show them what it means hands-on to be engineers. So engineering experience in industry is very important. And you can bring experiences from your industry into your teaching job to sort of show students what kind of activities, what kind of projects they can have when they decide to go to industry, especially if they don't go to graduate school. So this industrial experience that you have is very important for your next step if you want to move into academia. If you want to move to research places, it's very important to do it fast enough. Don't wait to be in your 50s, right? So usually I would say 40s is sort of limit, 45. I came to SFU, I think, when I was already 45 years old, and it was already a little bit late. So if you want to do a transition to the fast, if you want to do both, you can do both. You can have industry job in industry, right? And you can also do part-time teaching. There are a lot of adjunct positions at universities, but actually we take people from industry who would spend, let's say, a semester teaching a course, maybe one course 1 year or one course every 2 years. So you have a connection with academia. You have connection with your colleagues in academia. You can publish with them. You can mentor graduate students with them. So it's a very nice way to actually have double career. You have your job in industry, and you also become an adjunct professor at the university, local university, where you can actually pursue both. But if you're only interested in academic career, you have to publish and you have to do the move fast enough. Don't wait to be in your 50s or 60s. It's already a bit late. Unless you have a very big position in industry, in a research lab, then you have led a large group of PhD students, you have published with them, then you can move even in your late age. So, for example, I have a colleague who retired from a very large research lab in the US, and he became a professor at one of the universities. And I think he was in his late 60s. But that's not usual, right? So you have to have a high position, you have to have a very large research group, you have to publish. Publishing is very important. And so even after you retire from a large research lab, you can actually have academic position. But I'm talking more about moving into academia after certain time, certain years you have spent in industry. So in your late 30s, mid 40s, that's a sort of limit. I hope I have answered your question.
You are now unmuted.
No, we have more time. We have a little bit more time. You told me 8:15. 8:15 in the morning for me.
Okay. So, I'm a student in a
You're
low-tier
breaking up,
college.
man.
You are now muted.
I don't know what it is, but I don't hear you. Hello?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, hello.
So the question goes, I'm a student in a low-tier college. All my peers are in top-tier colleges, and they are already so ahead of me. So I'm feeling the pressure of what should I do with my life, and I'm stuck on the roadblock that I'm not even able to do something which I usually could. So, what could you guide me?
Can you repeat the beginning of the question? So that's a student in a college, correct?
Okay, I'll repeat the question. Yeah. So I'm a student from a low-tier college. All my
low
peers
tier.
are
Okay, low tier college.
top-tier colleges. I
Okay.
am feeling the pressure. They're already so ahead of me. I'm feeling the pressure. What should I do with my life?
That's
Can
a
you
tough
guide me?
question. The beginning, it's a low tier college, right? Is this what you're saying? Low tier college?
Yes, yes.
So I'm not familiar with the structure. I do not know what the low tier college means, but probably it's a 2 years college, I suspect, correct?
No, ma'am. I think in this context, it means that like we have top colleges like Harvard and all in US, and then just community colleges, etc.
Oh,
Right?
okay,
So in
okay,
that sense.
okay. So if you can find a mentor, it would be very beneficial. Find a professor in your college who can spend time with you and guide you, because the local guidance is much more than what I can give you in this short talk. So I would suggest to find a mentor, to find one of the professors in your college who can actually guide you and mentor you. And through IEEE, actually, there are a lot of mentors that you can get, right? But for that, I don't know if you have IEEE student branch in your university. But it's important in your stage to find a mentor, right? So to find a mentor who is going to guide you to go through these difficulties, because I'm sure you can do it, right? Because you're already a college student, right? So talk to somebody, right? Talk to a mentor, talk to somebody that you feel comfortable talking. And I'm sure within university that you attend, you will find somebody who can guide you, right? If you can become a member of IEEE, actually the section, there are a lot of faculty members in the section who can help you. So my suggestion is to find a mentor to guide you.
You are now unmuted.
Oh, I'm open to questions. I mean, I'm awake now because it was very early for me to give a talk at 7:30, 7 in the morning. But it's okay. You can ask.
You are now muted.
A broad knowledge is important, but specialization is going to make your career. So the engineering field is very broad. I hope I have understood your question, right?
You are now
Have
unmuted.
I understood your question? I mean, yes. So it's very important to have a broad knowledge about various fields. And this is why we talk about continuing education. So even though, for example, my bachelor degree was in power engineering, all my career in US and Canada, I actually done in different fields. So it's very important to learn, but you do have to specialize. So out of all these interesting fields, you have to pick up something that you like, that you feel that you can excel, right? And get a good mentor to actually help you with that. So we cannot be jacks of all trades, and the field is very broad. And as we speak, the field is changing. So nobody really talked about ChatGPT and AI 50 years ago, right, as a part of a career. Now everybody is talking about having a foot into the field. So it's important to be flexible and to change. At the same time, you have to find one niche, one thing you like, where you can excel. And in order to excel in something, you have to like it. And maybe at the beginning it's difficult, but the more you get into the field, the more you learn about it, the more you learn about the specifics, you will see that you will like it, and you will meet people who can actually mentor you and guide you in that field. So it's important not to be a jack of all trades, to have a broad knowledge, especially if you're talking about basic knowledge in math, in circuits, whatever the field is, like the broad knowledge, right? And to sort of have this idea that we are constantly learning. We are constantly learning new fields. But you have to excel in a certain field where you can actually get a good research job. If you are into research, you can publish and you can make your name. So I help.
unmuted.
So you have to pick something
You
that
are
you
now
like.
muted.
Even if you are not, if you don't have a background, but you will learn, right? You will learn through reading, you will learn through participating, you will learn from your mentors, you will learn on a job. So the broad knowledge in math, in physics, very important, in computing science, broad knowledge, and then you pick something that you want to do for the next 5 or 10 years. So I have changed a field several times. Right, my bachelor degree was in power engineering, but I never worked in power engineering. I very much like the theory. I like circuit theory, old-fashioned circuit theory. And that's why I came to study at UCLA, first at Syracuse, then at UCLA, with the famous Professor Alan Wilson, who worked in theory, in circuit theory. You cannot get a job these days in circuit theory, right? Elements of circuit theories are everywhere, but you cannot get a job saying, I excel in circuit theory. Nobody's going to give you a job in academia on it. You have to move with the field. So I worked, for example, at the beginning in computer networks, algorithms. Then I moved into machine learning. So for the last 10 years, I work on machine learning for communication networks. And now I'm very much interested in brain-machine interface. I'm sort of beginning. So slowly you move from field to field, but you have to excel in one thing, right? Having a broad background, having a background that's going to give you ability to actually build on that background to excel in specific fields. Okay? Easier said than done, but it requires a lot of work.
You are now unmuted.
Okay.
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay. So let me close the session by asking some
Okay.
quirky questions. Okay. Are you able to hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I hear you. You are going to ask me a question, right?
Yes. Like closing
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think IEEE will need to create guidelines for robots joining the society?
Guidelines for joining a society.
Robots joining the society.
Oh, robots. Very interesting question.
You are now muted.
I don't think we are there yet, right? Because, the artificial intelligence and everything that we talk about, it's still at the beginning. I don't know how I would feel about having a robot as a colleague. I'm not sure about that. But you never know, right? Because we are still at the very beginning. I mean, to robots to join, I didn't think about it.
You are now unmuted.
As engineers, will our future be more about coding, meetings, or coffee?
Oh, coffee. Hold on for a second. No, coffee? Coffee, like drink?
Yes, coffee like drink.
Well, coding, I think especially with the AI, I think
You are now
coding is
muted.
becoming less and less field of choice. So people are looking at more interesting things. Coffee sounds good.
You are now unmuted.
It sounds good, right? I'm a big coffee drinker, but I have to narrow down like 1 cup a day. But yeah, coffee sounds good.
Which one do you think is harder to teach?
Values. I think it's harder to teach values, but you teach by example. So I think code. I mean, what was the first option? Sorry, I
Skills.
lost for a moment.
First one was
Skills. Skills, I think, with persistence and good guidance and good teachers, and the commitment, you can get the skills. But the other thing is more difficult.
True, ma'am. So, thank you for answering
Yeah.
all the questions, and thank you for such an interesting and interactive session. We got to know more about the professional societies and how we can contribute to them. So, thank you very much. Me too. I'm a part of ACMW student chapter in India.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Okay.
You are now muted.
Yeah, ACM is a very good
You are
organization.
now
I talk
muted.
about IEEE more because I have experience with IEEE. But I'm a member of ACM and I participate in certain events. But two different organizations, both very high quality. So, yeah, I know. I am a member of ACM too. But I talk about IEEE because I know more about IEEE and I was more involved.
You are now
Yes,
unmuted.
ma'am. We do have a IEEE student chapter too. Like since I'm in the computer science, I joined ACM, and my friends who are in the electrical joined IEEE. So yeah, we interact a lot together too. So it
Yeah, you can do joint things.
yes.
You are now muted. You are now unmuted.
So it was great hearing about these all things and also about your personal experiences in the beginning when you spoke about it. So thank you very much once again for such a nice session, and we look forward to have more sessions with you in future if possible. And yes, research collaborations too, ma'am. We are open to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having
You are
me
now
and for
muted.
putting up with my voice. Thank you so much. It was very nice. Thank you.
You
It
are
was a
now
pleasure.
unmuted.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
You are now muted. You are now unmuted.
Thanks. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You are now
Bye bye.
muted.